us as a matter of urgency. That's why we called it an extraordinary meeting. The issue of industrialization and beneficiation and how we would want to see it fulfilled, accomplished. That was the purpose of the meeting. But because of what happened in South Africa in regard to xenophobia, we also allowed that after the main question will have been addressed, then under other business, President Zuma could brief us on the situation, which he did. He just gave us an explanation of what happened, and then a further explanation on the measures that his government is taking variously with the people of South Africa, groups of people in South Africa, to try and educate the people on the need to treat foreign people as part of South Africa, taking into account the assistance given by various countries in Africa to the African National Congress as it pursued its own anti-apartheid struggle, and that the people of Africa had done a lot to support the South Africans in their national struggle to get freedom and democracy. And it was agreed, therefore, that what we can do in the circumstances is not just to criticize, but also to assist the government and people of South Africa to understand their situation, and also to be tolerant. And that is why it's stated the way it is here, that there will be efforts by us all to try and support the measures that the South African government is taking to avoid similar incidents as those which have happened recently, happening in the future. As to what measures, they're carrying out various measures of educating the people, of organizing their forces to be in positions of readiness in various areas, but much more it is to try and get people to fight against what they regard as little groups, xenophobia groups, those who would want to misbehave, and check them up, try to prevent them from carrying out whatever they may be planning. And that is all on that subject. It's quite interesting that you start by asking us about xenophobia when the meeting was. I thought you would start with the matter that is important. But we know you are journalists, isn't it? They say if a dog bites President Mugabe, that's not news, because that's what a dog is supposed to do. But when Mugabe bites the dog, that is news.
Thank you, Your Excellency. I see two more hands. I believe they are now about issues that were dealt with by this summit, and we leave the others to the time when they will be dealt with. Okay, can I see those hands again? 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are the very last hands. As you know, the chairperson had a very, very long day.
And I'm going to Bulawayo for the show.
Yeah, and he's going to Bulawayo for the show. So those 4 are the very last hands. Where is the roving mic? Okay, let's start with you. And please speak up about the issues that were dealt with.
Thank you so much. My name is Mavuto Chipeta from New Vision newspaper, Zambia. Regional strategy and roadmap for industrialization is a welcome initiative and timely. But I've noted that the issue of the region, SADC region, are transforming from being an exporter of raw material to finished products has always come in different fora, and many fora such as this, but very little, close to nothing, seems to materialize. What guarantee has the region got that this time it will transform? Thank you so much.
Bring the mic over this side. Those who were raising their hands, please. This side.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry I'm going to disappoint you because I'm going to ask on xenophobia. Your Excellency, would there be is there a likelihood of a specific summit to discuss?
Sorry, we missed your introductions.
Okay, my name is Richard. I'm a freelance journalist in Zimbabwe. Your Excellency, is there a likelihood of a summit specifically to discuss migration issues, intra-regional migration issues, given the problems in South Africa with xenophobia? Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Malak from the Post in Zambia. I'd like to find out from you, in implementing the industrialization strategy that you are planning to implement as SADC leaders, I want to find out how you're going to harmonize the issue of power, because power is the main driving force behind any industrial activity. We've had a problem of power in the region. Thank you.
Let me get you straight. By power, you mean energy, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Mambo, Newsiana, Zimbabwe. The question is, how much will be required to fund the implementation of the strategy?
Thank you. Yes, the 4 issues. The moving from exporting raw material to processed goods has come up several times. What guarantee do we have this time around? Then what is the likelihood of holding a summit to discuss migration issues in the wake of the xenophobia issues that have come up recently? Then how to harmonize the issues of power, meaning energy. Then the cost of implementing the strategy that's just approved. The financing of the strategy that has just been approved.
Yes, the issue we have been discussing, and we discussed at Victoria Falls, of industrialization might have come in various forms in the past. But we made up our mind, not just at Victoria Falls, but also at the African Union, that time had now come for us in Africa to take steps to prevent continued exploitation by the West and the exploitation of our resources, which has created in Africa endemic poverty. And each and every country in Africa has had the experience of its resources being taken in a raw form and payment being next to nothing. And that meaning that the particular country would not develop at all. If you look at countries that became independent in the 60s, 50s and 60s, 1950s and 1960s, Ghana 1957, then the others in the 60s, Zambia, Malawi 1964, we became independent in 1980. There's been little change from what the situation was during pre-colonial times to what it is now after decolonization and the acquiring of independence. Why is that? It's not that we don't have resources. We have natural resources, but the resource we don't have is capital. And of course, in some cases also leadership, good leadership, sufficiently intelligent, having intellectual skills to realize that the situation in which the countries of Africa have remained is that of being producers of raw materials for the West. Look, we produce cocoa, very little manufacturing of sweets. These ones, chocolates, are done by Switzerland with cocoa from Ivory Coast, Ghana, and other countries that produce cocoa. We produce cotton, Uganda does, we also do. We manufacture very little by way of clothing from our own cotton. 30% of it is what we use. 100% out of 400,000 tons of cotton. The rest of the percentage, 70% or more, is the cotton that we sell as lint. Lint, which is not spun. You spin the lint, you get threads. And it is those threads then of cotton that you weave into cloth. And we do that a little. When you do it in a way that enables you not just to dress your own people, but to export the clothes and clothes, then we say you have industrialized in that regarding that aspect. But it's not just that, it's also our minerals. Lots of iron is produced in Africa. Here and there we manage to make plows and elementary machinery for tillage. But others have gone much further to use the material to make bigger things, cars, tractors, etc. So why can we not look at our resources and integrate ourselves? You produce iron, we produce iron. Let's work together in SADC and try to have mills where we can produce out of the ore pig iron, and then we have chrome. We use it in combination with iron to get now proper iron, proper steel, and then from that you can do lots of things. And this is how we are looking at matters. We form ventures, joint ventures, we form companies, we form partnerships, and work together. Look at our roads. We are now trying to do our roads, but we have been doing them piecemeal, each country on its own. Why can't we, as we used to do when it was still SADC with 2 C's, say these are SADC roads, let's do them together. This is a SADC agricultural product, agricultural function. Let's do it together. And that's why we're the veterinary headquarters in Botswana. Industry was given, each of the functions was given to a country to promote. So we had agricultural industry, we had transport, etc. And all these were areas where we were to work together. But at the time, we didn't have capital. And so, if we sourced capital, it would be capital for those projects which were common, which are common. So your question is therefore not absolutely true to some extent, but we try to work together in many ways. It's an issue of capital. But we have said we now can look east, try to get assistance there from. You have a new bank which China and others have established, and the BRICS countries, that we should make funds available so we can get loans and work together. But of course, you do not start by just planning to indigenize and manufacture things. I mean, indigenize and beneficiate things before you actually produce them, manufacture them. You must have a very broad production base, very broad agricultural base to produce various goods. And it's not everything that we can do at the same time. We choose priorities. Priorities in agriculture, priorities in industry, therefore manufacturing, adding value, and so on. Your second question was?
Would there be a special summit to discuss migration?
Migration, yes, that's xenophobia now. Yes, sure. We are sorry for South Africa. The people who you describe as the influx into South Africa are not pushed by governments. There are people who voluntarily go to South Africa. They think South Africa is the heaven, our heaven in Southern Africa. Yes, it's more highly developed, true. But go there and you'll see that the Africans in the country are still very low. It's the whites who are living better lives, more advanced lives. In Soweto, the lives of people are very elementary. And then there are people from out here who think there is heaven in South Africa and decide to go to South Africa. They make the situation of the Africans there worse. There are those who are skilled, doctors, engineers, economists, and so on, whom South Africa needs. Yes, those are employed. But the majority are those who just jump the border. We are going to Johannesburg. C.A. Johnny. I was telling my colleagues out there that long ago, going to South Africa was regarded as going to heaven on earth. And mind of Joburg. And for our province of Matabele and South, the men there, as boys, young boys, if you have not been to Johannesburg, then you have not been to a place of good life. And it doesn't matter what you do. Almost each and everyone wants to have some method of escaping from home, get that method and get to South Africa somehow. They get to South Africa and assume new names. If you go to South Africa and call yourself Simbarashi, Mubengegwi, they will know that, this is a South African. As Simbarashi, Mubengegwi, kana aini mtupo isibongo. Se changu chegarwe sino ndo vengwenya vanenzi ngwenya ngongonzi ngwenya ari ikoko osibanda ari ikoko or the common one moyo. Then there are moyos everywhere. When they learn to speak Zulu, and they become Zulus or Sutus. And then they are part of the people of South Africa. They cannot be distinguished. They will find a way you go to getting the certificates there, birth certificates, then you pay some people and so on. That's how they used to do it. And we have lots of people. Now, even after this incident, and that incident which you saw, of people being burnt, although the South Africans say no, this was not a true incident of the day. It happened in the 1980s, long ago. It did not happen just recently. Anyway, we thought it happened recently, and we are still convinced it happened recently. So we send lorries. We hired buses to carry people back home. The buses in South Africa would carry the people from Durban to the border at Byte Bridge and return. Leave the people there. Then our buses from within the country will take the people from Byte Bridge to their homes. We did that. We got only some 400, isn't it? The number went up to 800. And amongst those, they were asked questions. Most of the women said no, they won't go back again. The men said, go back. So what do you do with them? And I don't think if we send the buses to Johannesburg and say, come, that the majority of the people would want to come home. No? Even though they are suffering. The minister was telling me the other day, Minister of Foreign Affairs, where I think in Indonesia, he said one of his 3 nephews came back home. And he asked him, what are the others doing who have remained, the other 2 who remained in Johannesburg? Because vari kungodhila madhila. The minister said, ichi chinonzi kudhila. Because munoda kuti ndikuudzei imbavha. And they are not the only ones. That's what happened. Utsotsi, ukuba, kurova vanhu. The Kalangas were very notorious to South Africa, vaizikanwa. They are not educated enough to assume jobs. The majority of our people who used to go to South Africa sometimes would go to the farms and work on the farms. When they've got a little money, then they run away from the farms and go to town and start new life in town. But why do that? So people must get back to their own country. Many of our countries are very angry. The parents very angry. Like you on my pictures. In Mozambique, we are Banka, Akamira. Fortunately, there was someone taking pictures. And lots of other things have happened to people from our countries. Zimbabwe, Mozambique, Zambia. Botswana, they speak Tswana, so they are not distinguishable. And anyway, they belong to the customs union together, near South Africa. So there is the issue. It's not one just for South Africa to resolve. It's one for us, we the neighboring countries also to resolve. Our people should not have the instinct of rushing into South Africa. Even my university, they want to remain there. I don't know what is attractive. But it's my degrees. Degrees don't want to come back home. They want to work in South Africa. I suppose it's the life that attracts one, the big shops and so on. But what do those things mean at all if you don't have a real income and if you are in danger of losing your life? Every day you must take care that the authorities will not pound, find you alone and then deal with you. So no specific measures have been decided upon on a joint basis, but South Africa has embarked on its own programs of just educating its own people and also increasing its own sense of vigilance with groups that would want to work for the good name of South Africa, being placed on awareness. And once they are aware of little groups of sources that would want to deal with foreigners, then they report that to the authorities and sometimes deal with the little groups themselves. But I am suggesting that we, the neighbors, must do what we can to prevent more people going into South Africa. And if we can do it, try to get those who are in South Africa back home. Number 3.
Within the context of industrialization, how is the regional planning to address energy challenges?
Yes, energy. Well, we've been doing something severally, and here and there, and something together also. For example, the Kabora Bassa project is supported by South Africa. South Africa gets most of the electricity there from. We also get a bit from it. But we have been looking at the other projects. Zambia and ourselves are currently trying to get, actually we are having that done now, putting 2 more generators at Kariba. But the yield will be about 300 megawatts only, so I'm told. But we are trying solar, also urbanization here in town is solar. From the airport you might have seen, those of you who come from outside and who came by air, you might have seen that as we are doing the road, we are also using solar. Now, panels, little panels, farmer posts, so Harare could be powered in solar. But in industries, we will need much more, and much more than what solar can give at the moment. But we were looking also at working with the Congolese. There was a big river there, and in order for us to produce more electricity for the SADC region. These are some of the projects that can be worked on together. But we have also gas. Mozambique has natural gas. We are trying to work in the Wangi area on projects to produce methane gas. Now this is gas which is trapped between the layers of coal, and it's a little more difficult to get than natural gas. Natural gas, there is nothing you need do, so they tell us, other than just the machinery to draw it out from the ground, whereas methane gas requires much more work. Now, we are working on all these bilaterally, and the grids are more or less the same. So we want to create more electricity from even our coal, thermal power. And what each country does benefits the region. But if we can have joint projects, thermal projects, that might assist us also, then we would have huge thermal power stations in the country, because there is a lot of coal still lying underground, which we can use for the purpose. Solar, yes, we have started using it a little, but it's more expensive. It's cleaner anyway than thermal. It's thermal electricity is based on burning coal, and sets carbons into the air again, affecting our
donated his 5 million US.
I have studied the and I've just talked about power, the energy. But you have also the infrastructure, the roads. I made reference to it earlier on, where people can work together to develop much broader and better roads. And the roads that link us. Cecil John Rhodes wanted a road from Cape to Cairo, and for the British, he thought the whole of Africa could become one vast British territory. That was John Cecil Rhodes. But his plan, I suppose, lacked skill. He thought money could do everything. Having acquired lots of wealth from the diamonds of Kimberley, he became Prime Minister of the Cape. And from the Cape, he thought of colonizing Zimbabwe here and Zambia to leap towards, we take a leap towards Cairo. So we became Rhodesia, southern and northern. Southern Rhodesia, roads, countries. Anyway, that did not happen, but still we remained a colony of Britain until 1980. So the integration is a very important one. Industrialization can be done. We have lots of cattle in Africa. Ethiopia has the most, possibly, with some 60 million. We have only about 5 to 6 million. And Botswana about 3 million. I don't know how many they have in South Africa. Possibly over 10. I can't say, but we could have an industry. Beef industry. We could have leather industry also. They have all these in South Africa. And dairy industry. We have little dairies, but we could have a huge dairy industry that sells its dairy products outside the SADC region, to the rest of Africa. You go to countries like Ghana, etc. I was there as a young man in 1958. Ghana had just become independent in 1957. They were getting meat from Australia. Goodness me. And still getting cubed sugar from outside. I noticed they are still getting cubed sugar in Ghana. When we produce lots of sugar and we export sugar to countries outside Africa, you see. This is cane sugar. Europe produces beet sugar. They don't grow cane. Too cold weather. And so these areas, whether you're talking of agriculture in terms of crops, yield, or you're talking of the infrastructure, the roads, the dams, irrigation schemes, etc., or you're talking of in the manufacturing sector, depending on agriculture, and even depending on technology that comes from outside, communication, telecommunication systems, etc., they then must be examined in terms of the feasibility that should guide us. Where do we emphasize? What priorities are there? Then education, the development of skills, and we make reference to that. For all these projects to happen, we should have our main technological skills are required, engineering skills, civil, mechanical, electrical, mining, metallurgists, we need them all. So our universities must take into account, in terms of their studies and the disciplines that they have or they should have, these areas of development. So there is a relation between what happens in our institution to what programs we should carry out in the socio-economic development area of SADC. Then, of course, we have marine for those with the sea, the marine industry also, fisheries and others. Lots of things we still have to do. Look at the animal world. We have lots of animals. I don't know how much wealth they yield to us about, except by way of what we earn through tourism, people coming to see how beautiful the buffalo are when they are together. Although the buffalo do carry the foot and mouth, but when you see them together, they are a beautiful head, and they want to keep together. But then you have also the king of the forest, the lions. And we want them to survive and multiply. But what really do you get from the lions? Except the fact that they are part of us. The elephants, for example, the elephants have more to contribute by way of their ivory, and that's why we look after them. And there are other animals of beauty like the zebra, and so on. So there we are. We have established that we are very rich in natural resources. Let's exploit those resources ourselves and not allow those resources to continue to enrich the people outside, because they are more skilled than we are. Let's get as skilled as they are, if not more skilled than they are, so we can exploit them in our own interest. So that is what this meeting was about. And it's a call to ourselves to look inward and use our energies now to build ourselves, educate ourselves, build our own industries run by us, our young men from the universities and colleges, so they don't all go to one place. They can spread, then there will be a spread of them. If we develop beautiful cities across the Southern African area, even the whole continent, then there won't be as much need to go to Johannesburg as there is. But people will continue to move, obviously, to places of their own liking. But then the places will all be equally attractive. Right, so there it is. Tomorrow is Bulawayo. We have what the country would want to show as the output of its own areas of production. So we are exhibiting, whereas in Bulawayo, lots of exhibits there. And it's a day that the Bulawayo regards as the most important event of the year. We will have President Lungu opening the trade fair. It's always a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful trade fair. So from here, you fly to Bulawayo and spend your day there. There is lots of fun also around it. And we are proceeding there just now from here. We will be flying to Bulawayo, so tomorrow we can receive President Lungu. So thank you for being with us, and thank you for listening. Thank you for furthering the program of SADC, and for reporting well about us. What is not news and which you call news, is when Mugabe buys dogs. Then he is mad. But when a dog bites me, it's good news to write about it. President Asamuni. You are waiting for the day when I bite the dogs. And that you call news, better news. Right.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Members of the media, I believe every journalist with the title or the name journalist now has a whole lot of stories to cover. It's not an everyday affair that we can find ourselves hearing from a statesman deep thoughts. Even for the planners, these are food for thought. So let us release His Excellency to go. He's got a whole lot of duties, and I'm expecting all of you journalists to enter the media awards next year from all the bright ideas that His Excellency has.
Art is a personal expression that evokes a flame from within.
Street art, it's a vast concept.
Dancing is one of the main art forms on the streets of Africa. Regardless of how it is done, the streets remain expressive. A passionate artist in the central business district of Johannesburg.
Yeah, I've been doing this it's been 7 years or 8 years now.
Brains lost control on what to do then. Words dispute in the mouth of a woman.
That's Kaleidoscope, Sundays, 5:30 p.m. on SABC News.
Food for thought, in the words of Ray Davis. Remember, a challenge only becomes an obstacle when you bow to it.
Of dedication and perseverance, Abayani Maitakore made history as one of South Africa's best performing matriculants of 2014, attaining 7 distinctions.
I believe that nothing should stand in your way if you see yourself in the future doing something great. So I just carried on and I never gave up. Though the circumstances I faced were challenging, I love challenges, so I was like, yeah man, bring it on, I can do it.
Join me, Rifiwe Muiba, on Bophelong, your show about those who take on and conquer life's challenges, every Saturday at 17:30.